Hello everyone, it's me. I have a little story to tell. Um, and oh, I might sneeze. Give me one sec. Okay, sorry about that. My story is why I'm not in again. And I won't be in on Friday because I have a safety training to do with all the staff. Um, but the reason I'm not in today is because a few days ago I took my sister's, well, Melanie's sister, which is my sister-in-law, but really she's my sister. But I took her dog to the beach with Melanie to get her to run around and, get some exercise out because they just had a new baby and dogs need walks and all that good stuff. Um, she ended up being attacked by two other dogs that ran up on her and bit her. And I had to fight the dogs off. She only had a few puncture wounds. She did have to go to the emergency vet, which is a scary thing. But so I figured today I'm going to do a class on why dogs bite and what you should do in this situation. Because the person whose dogs did, I mean, we got a picture of them, got their phone number, but they're not really willing to pay. They didn't think it was an emergency. But I figure it's best for everyone to know if you do have a dog or if you ever choose to get a dog, this is why they bite, and it's also what you should do in a situation like this. So, let me get started on this. So, why do dogs bite? One of the most common reasons dogs see their veterinarians for emergencies appointments is because of a bite wound. The bite wound may have been caused by another family dog or a fight with a strange or unfamiliar animal, which is what happened to us. So why do dogs bite? In puppies, biting is often part of aggressive play, so they're just learning how to play. In adult dogs, biting or other aggressive behaviors have multiple underlying motives or causes. Aggressive behavior such as growling, lunging, snarling, snapping, or biting are used as a means of communication and to resolve competitive issues or perceived threats. The competition may be over food, territory, attention of an owner, position in a pack or group, or as a protective reaction towards another dog. Now, here's the thing. Is the dogs that ran up on our dog, I'm not sure which one of those definitions fit because it was just an attack. They just surrounded the dog and attacked it. It might have just been that they were being protective of the territory, which, just learning this, um, that might have been the actual case, but who knows? So, how serious are dog bite wounds? So, dog bites can cause significant injury to the skin and soft tissues. The dog's teeth and jaws are very powerful, and the wounds they inflict can crush or tear muscle and skin, or just puncture. Penetrate through the chest, which could collapse a lung, which didn't happen, luckily, in our situation, or cause serious or fatal damage to intestinal organs. Even a bite that does not break the skin can cause crushing or bruising injuries to the underlying soft tissues. So, that be very. That's why we took the dog to my sister's dog to an emergency vet, is to make sure, because when it first happened, we checked her out as thoroughly as we thought, and then when we got her into the car, she actually some blood started dripping onto the seat of the car, and so we knew that it was best for us to take her. But we should have just done that anyway. But luckily we did it, because it's the best thing to do to be safe. Bite wounds are commonly inflicted on the legs or around the head and neck. She got bit on the hind parts mostly, but again, one dog was going towards her neck, and that dog I made sure didn't get to her neck. So, vital structures in the neck that could be easily injured include major blood vessels, numerous nerves, the esophagus, tube connecting the throat with the stomach, and the trachea, which is this is my trachea, which is the windpipe. Wounds on the face can cause severe damage to the eyes, ears, or mouth. With bite wounds on the legs, there is a risk that that the injury can involve the joints. She seemed very happy after it happened. She walked back and just wanted to play fetch quite a bit, so it wasn't quite as bad as it could have been. Okay, so since a dog's mouth is full of bacteria, which is something we really need to worry about, and especially when it comes to humans, which I'll tell you a little bit more about after I do this class. Any bite that does puncture the skin will introduce bacteria or other infectious organisms below the skin surface, where the bacteria can multiply and spread throughout the underlying tissues. Therefore, all bite wounds are considered to be contaminated and or infected. Left untreated, the bacteria and infected wound will cause a localized abscess or more generalized cellulitis, which is a tissue infection that spreads through the surrounding area. In rare cases, a penetrating bite wound can cause septic arthritis. Luckily, that's why we took her to the veterinarian very soon, which is an infection of the joint. There's osteomyelitis, which is an infection of the bone. Pyrothorax, which is pus in the chest cavity, which of course didn't happen. Or septic peritonitis, which is pus in the abdominal cavity only. This is our abdomen right here. So, does my dog need to be seen by the veterinarian after it has been in a fight? Well, I'll tell you this much is yes. Hence me making sure that it was taken there. If a dog has been involved in a fight, it can sometimes be challenging to determine the extent of the injuries, particularly if the wounds are located in heavily furred areas of the body, which the dog that my sister has, very hairy dog, like thick hair. So, as much as we checked her out, it's still, it was not completely determined by us, so it's best to take it to the veterinarian. So small puncture wounds from canine teeth can close over rapidly and can easily be missed. Therefore, if your dog has been in a fight, well, it wasn't really a fight. Our dog just kind of lied down on the ground, and then the other dogs were attacking it, so I was trying to keep the dogs away. She didn't want to fight, and she's a big dog, so if she decided to fight, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm happy that didn't happen. Therefore, if your dog has been in a fight with another animal, you should take him to your veterinarian for examination as soon as possible. The veterinarian that my sister would take the dog to wasn't open because, well, it was too late at night, so we took her to the emergency vet. If you can see obvious bite wounds, you should definitely go to the veterinarian. Wounds that appear to be minor on the surface can be deceptive and may have potentially to be life-threatening, depending on the location of the injury. So again, important to take your dog to the veterinarian. What should I look for to determine how quickly my dog needs to see the veterinarian? So it says there are certain signs that require immediately emergency treatment that include uncontrollable bleeding, which didn't really happen to our dog or to their dog. bleeding that cannot be stopped, breathing difficulty, weakness, crying or whining, limping, and none of that stuff happened for our dog. But again, in an injury, the dog knows best. It's just like if you got hurt by something and you're like, man, I really hurt, then you should go to the hospital. It's best to be like, I should probably get this checked out because it just keeps hurting, and I don't want it to hurt anymore. So what sort of treatment will be given to my dog? Well, so I'll just tell you what they did. They got her caught up on her rabies vaccinations. And it really depends on the injury to the dog. So if it's a severe injury, they're going to keep the dog in the hospital for a while and make sure that the dog's okay. They're going to monitor them, just like if anyone's hurt in any sort of situation, veterinarians are going to make sure that the animal is okay. But they caught her up on any, because she could have gotten rabies from the other dogs because we don't have their information. We have a picture of the person and, and their dogs. So they, of course, gave her that. But there's also pain medication because after that happens, I mean, anytime we get hurt, humans, dogs, anybody, adrenaline starts to run. So they might not feel pain immediately, but eventually they might. And so they gave my sister's dog some pain medication to make sure that she feels okay now. And so that, but it all depends on what sort of injury it is. And the veterinarian, of course, that's why you take them to the veterinarian, but they will determine what they need and they will give out medications. They will keep them as long as they need to be kept and make sure that everything's okay. Now, here's an important thing. What sort of home care will be necessary? So, you get your dog home. What are they really going to need after they've had bites, after she did, or depending on where it is? So it depends on where the wounds are. If they've been closed with sutures, which our dog didn't need because they were just puncture wounds. Um, Really, we just have to make sure that she doesn't keep licking those wounds, because dogs, they in their saliva they do have something that helps heal, but also if they're, what is the term? if they're if they're a nervous dog, or if they really just don't like certain things on them, they will just keep licking and licking and licking and licking and licking, which is not a good thing. So you might need to get a cone for them so that they can't actually lick the wound at all. And you also need to clean the wounds, make sure that, once everything's done, you need to make sure that you clean the wound. A lot of times they'll give you antibiotic ointment, things like that, but you're going to want to wash first and then dry the area and then apply the ointment to make sure that everything is not so much, you don't want it to seep, which just means bleed or have pus. But what you want to do is make sure that it's a little bit open, so that once you put it on, it's going to actually get in there really fast. And eventually you'll start to see it'll keep healing over, just like if we get a cut or anything like that. And, that's why you're not supposed to pick your scab so much. But you do want to clean it off when it's a fresh wound. And it's the same with a dog. And so that's how you're going to take care of your dog. And you follow the veterinarian instructions all the way through. And then, well, what can I do to prevent bite wounds? Well, being kind to your dog, making sure your dog is not an aggressive sort, taking them for walks, training them, making sure that they know that, that they shouldn't be fighting with other dogs. Um, but again, sometimes, taking them to get them trained by other people is a good thing. But if you know how to train a dog, then, go ahead and train them to make sure that they respect other dogs. But, getting them acclimated to other dogs by taking them to dog parks, having them run around, kind of sniff other dogs. But if you're not so sure about your dog, you should always keep them leashed. Always. And so if other dogs run up on them, then, you keep the other dogs away. But if you're not so sure about your dog, then make sure you keep them leashed. But let other dogs come around and smell them, and, and just don't be nervous. It's staying calm is always the most important thing. And then, eventually your dog will start to trust other dogs. But like I said, in this situation, sometimes people don't train their dogs. Sometimes they just let them run loose, and I don't know why. And they might start to attack. So, just be very wary and careful. But, your responsibility is for your dog. And so the last thing, which I said I was going to let you know, why there's a good chance I'm not going to be there, is if the dogs had attacked me while I was trying to help my dog or my sister's dog, if they had attacked me and bit me, I would be in court. I would be in the hospital probably, and and the police would have been involved. When I called the police department and I explained the situation, what they said was that since it was a dog on dog attack, that the only thing you can do is take them to small claims court and to actually have them be prosecuted and have them pay for the vet bill, which this person said they were going to do. And then, of course, they rescinded and they said that they didn't think it was really an emergency, even though there were plenty of bites and, you know, the dog had to go to the hospital. So, because it's not my dog, there's a chance that I have to stay and probably stay in order to testify and say that I was witness to it and explain what happened. So, again, I really apologize that I can't be there today, but, I want to make sure that the situation is taken care of. And I would support all of you in doing the same thing as well. So, I'm sorry I won't be there. I will see you on Monday, and, we'll start off a new fresh week and have everything go, hopefully, as well as planned. Okay. I miss you all. I'll see you next week. Bye.